into where all the fire trucks are there, and that was maybe about an hour ago or so. We've also seen 4 SWAT vehicles, the big armored vehicles, driving past the theater there into sort of that what appears to be the center of the focus, or at least maybe a command center type, with that blue tent set up right there, because that's where all the activity is at this point. They're coming in and out of the mall and sort of focusing right in on this area. We talked to, again, several people out here today. You just heard a little while ago from a gentleman I talked to who's a manager at Champs, and he talked about being about 50 feet away from the shooter and actually seeing a clip on the ground. And he talked, as you guys were saying, about shuffling people as customers, kids and infant, back into a storage room to try to keep people safe. As you can imagine, the chaos was just unfolding inside of the mall here this evening. So a lot of people tonight trying to cope with what has happened, that emotional distress, and trying to figure out the scene out here. We're still seeing some cars roll out of the Clackamas town center. We know that they were earlier clearing store by store and making sure that it was safe to let people exit. So just it seems to be thinning out here in terms of people going home. We've seen a lot of emergency vehicles leave the scene here, so things appear to be much calmer at this point than they were a couple of hours ago, but still, you know, a lot of very concerned people as they're coming out of the mall here this evening.
Absolutely, Megan. Thank you. So many stories coming out of that mall this evening. We heard from a woman by the name of Nadia, who works at the mall, was just arriving for a shift. Her mom and her sister were inside the mall at the time, and Mom heard shots and saw Santa Claus ducking and covering at the time, as I'm sure everybody else was. We heard so many reports of parents grabbing their kids, scooping them up, and just running for the exits as fast as they possibly could.
In this social media age, so many people immediately hear about this on Facebook or on Twitter, and if you look at the Twitter feed, you see all these people just so relieved that they're okay. They were there, or they had family members there. We're also getting contacted by people who say, my friend works here, or my friend works there, and I haven't heard from this person. I'm very worried. We, of course, wish we could help. At this point, we're trying to get as much information as possible. The cell phones for a while have not been working there because they've been overloaded with people calling in and out of Clackamas Town Center, and we're trying to get as much information for you as possible, and so are investigators. They've been urging anyone who saw the shooting to call this number. It's 503-655-8211. They say you should also stop by the sheriff's office on Sunnyside Boulevard if you can do that.
Remember, Angelica, the gentleman who called in and worked inside the mall, and he said he was quite emotional and said it really puts it all in perspective, puts life in perspective. He said, I'm alive and well. My coworkers are alive and well, but it could have been a whole different story, and unfortunately was for others. 2 others have been killed. 1 other person was sent to the hospital with traumatic injuries. We know very little at this point about the shooter, other than we've heard from various accounts that he was wearing some sort of a hockey mask, a white hockey mask, perhaps camouflage, and carrying some sort of semi-automatic weapon. At the time, some said it was an AR-15, if you're familiar with weapons out there. But law enforcement authorities at this point not releasing a whole lot when it comes to the shooter, and perhaps they will when they give us the next briefing in about a half hour.
We know Mayor Sam Adams has been tweeting about the incident. We got a statement from Governor John Kitzhaber, and I'm going to read it to you. It says, "My thoughts and prayers are with the victims and their families. I appreciate the work of the first responders and their quick reaction to this tragic shooting. Oregon State Police Superintendent Rich Evans is on the scene. I have directed state police to make any and all necessary resources available to local law enforcement." This is going to be an active scene for a very long time.
It's going to be a story we will not ever forget. As we mentioned, so many stories pouring out of there, and so many stories of heroes we've been hearing about. We've had several of our reporters interviewing folks who grabbed others who were out in the mall, pulled them into their stores, pulled them to the back of the stores, and locked the doors as fast as they could. And I'm sure as this story really unfolds over the next day or two, we'll be hearing more of those.
And I want to correct something. I was saying Sunnyside Road for the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office. It's actually Sunnybrook Road. They're saying if it's possible to stop by, they have extra people on hand there to take witness accounts. They're also asking people to call, but it is on Sunnybrook Road, not Sunnyside Road.
It is just after 6 o'clock. If you're just joining us on this Tuesday evening, there's been a terrible mass shooting out at Clackamas Town Center. Lots of shoppers in the mall at the time, as well as workers. 2 people have been killed, along with the shooter himself. 1 other person was injured. They still have out there more than 100 officers from various jurisdictions going store by store just to make sure everyone is secure, because at this point you're not sure if someone perhaps crawled into a space and is afraid to come out, as I would be, until someone from the law enforcement community comes up and tells them that all is okay. Lots of different traffic situations out there that are causing problems. Transportation, buses traveling the area have been canceled, so you may want to check the website with TriMet before you make your move out there to Clackamas Town Center.
And of course, we're posting all of this information on KATU.com. We've got the entire web team working in the newsroom. We've also got our Twitter account. You can KATU News on Twitter, and also Facebook.com/KATU News, trying to give you as much information as possible, because we know people are worried about their loved ones who had been there, you know, friends, family, who were shopping at the mall today. Our own Melanie Wingo was across the street at the Clackamas Promenade. She was really close with her 2 kids, just doing some shopping when this happened. Fortunately, they didn't go to the mall.
Lots of accounts from folks who have been calling us and emailing us on Twitter, on Facebook, describing what happened. And I can tell you this, it has been absolutely horrifying listening to some of these descriptions. And you feel for these people who are caught right in the middle of this and so incredibly emotional, particularly the ones who were with their children, thinking perhaps they're going to visit Santa Claus or doing a little bit of shopping, but it is going to be a tough time for them. We have some new video just in apparently of SWAT team members perhaps surrounding the mall. You can see these folks, obviously fire truck moving in, various law enforcement vehicles at the time. I have not seen a scene where so many different law enforcement agencies have arrived. This, of course, SWAT moving in. At one time we counted 7, 8 ambulances, and how many police cars as well.
And we've got, I think we've got a live picture, you guys, outside the movie theater. I don't know if we can go to that live picture. Look, there it is, and that was the triage tent that they had set up outside the movie theater, and the good news is that they're taking it down. So hopefully they know that they've gotten everyone who was injured out of the mall, and they're breaking down that scene right now.
I want to read one of the emails we got. This is from someone who was at the Clackamas Town Center at the time. Just wanted to let everyone know I'm okay. I was walking to Bed Bath & Beyond when I heard the gunshots. It was around the corner of the food court. People started running everywhere. I heard more shots and started to run back to the store. When I got there, I closed the gates to the mall and had the other doors shut down. I know he was dressed in body armor, a white hockey mask, and had an AR-17 fully auto rifle. He kept shooting. An off-duty police officer was, well, they go on and on and on explaining what happened out there, but lots of accounts of what happened as people were ducking and running for cover.
This really is unbelievable, and you can hear the shock in people's voices when they describe the scene. We've talked to at least 2 or 3 people who either saw the shooting happen, saw the shooter going into the mall, running through the mall, or saw victims' bodies on the ground, and they're just stunned at this point. It really is hard to comprehend.
Going to reveal a lot more information, or whether it'll just come out in small increments. This is one of those stories where we may not learn really what happened here for some time. Obviously, once we get a name, we can start working our databases. We have access to some very powerful databases for researching people, where they've lived, who they know, who their relatives are, where they work. And then, of course, through Facebook and other social media, we can start to put together a profile of the victims in this and of the shooter in this pretty quickly. But without that key bit of information, obviously, we can't. So the last briefing that we were told, Steve, as you were talking about, they were going methodically, store to store, trying to find people that may be still in hiding. You know, they don't know if how many people have gotten the message that the mall is clear, that the shooter is now dead. So they are doing that slowly but surely. And every once in a while, someone will come out and they'll go in their car and then they drive off. We haven't been able to speak with any of those people that are coming out now. Most of the people that are around here on the sidewalks watching, they weren't in the mall. They're people that saw this on TV or their neighbors, and they are now coming out to to watch and to try to figure out what has happened here. So 6:30, as I said, is our next briefing, and we will be back out here live, bring that to you. Steve?
Dan Tilkin, a question before you go away, sir. We've heard a couple of the briefings. Have they absolutely, positively confirmed that there was one person involved here as far as the shooter goes? Because as you well know, when this thing unfolded at 3:30 this afternoon, that was the concern from some of the folks inside the mall at the time, that there was perhaps more than one shooter involved. What have you heard?
Right, they did address that there were reports of more than one shooter, but as you know, the fog of war, so to speak, you don't know. There's often conflicting information from witnesses, but they do believe that there was the one shooter. Now, remember, these malls have very elaborate video surveillance systems, and they have people that sit in dark rooms watching video cameras for hours on end, especially during the shopping season, and it is very likely that they had people following the shooter with cameras that are steerable and were able to figure out what was going on there. And you can be pretty confident that the police were speaking with the people that are operating those cameras and had a good idea of how this happened. And you can also pretty much bet that this has all been recorded somewhere. So,
all right, Dan, we'll talk to you soon. Thank you, sir.
You can imagine how busy the mall is today. Everybody getting their Christmas shopping done, people taking their kids in to see Santa Claus today, and of course everybody working in those various different stores. I believe we have Amber Tate on the phone. And Amber, were you in the mall when this happened?
I was not. I was in the parking lot with my family. We had just came back from shopping, and we were standing outside our car trying to figure out what we were going to go next, and we saw this guy run past us and look at us with a gun and a bulletproof vest and the mask.
Oh, my goodness.
And
we're hearing, Amber, there was some sort of a hockey mask. Is that what you saw?
Yeah, it happened so fast. I can't tell you exactly what it looked like. It was just very menacing, kind of like a hockey, basically like a hockey mask.
Yeah.
Amber,
and yeah, my husband thought it was a joke. He thought maybe it was just like a kid or something, like playing paintball with his friends or something. And I told him, no, this is not a joke.
Was he
real, like a shooter?
Was he running towards the mall at the time?
Yeah, he was running towards the mall.
And what parking lot were you in?
The Macy's parking lot. It's like kind of, it's the top Macy's one. It's not the bottom Macy's parking lot. It's kind of behind REI.
Right. So the Macy's Home Furniture area is where you
I believe so, yeah.
I got you. We're getting reports, Amber, that the shooter was running through the mall hollering, "I am the shooter." Did you hear him say anything at all? Did he go by?
I didn't hear him say anything at all. I saw him run. I just saw him run towards the mall, looking at us. I was shocked myself that he didn't shoot us because, we saw him, and it was just, I don't know. I don't know why he didn't shoot us. We just feel so blessed. We're counting our blessings right now because, he could have easily done it.
How close was he to you, and where was he running from?
He was running from, the parking lots to basically from, the mall, the parking lots, he was in the parking lot just running.
Yeah.
And he was running to the mall, and I can't tell you where he's running from. He was just running in the mall and running towards the mall, and I don't know why he didn't shoot us or anything. I'm so glad that he didn't, and we're just safe and sound, and I can't believe this happened. We were so close to him. My husband could have literally tackled him, and we just feel awful that we didn't do anything, but, this guy had a gun. We did not know what his intentions were.
Yeah, absolutely understandable that you're emotional over this ordeal, as a lot of people are out there, and thank you for calling us, and glad you're okay, Amber. We appreciate that very much. Tom Jensen standing by on the scene right now. Tom, what do you have for us, sir?
Well, we talked a little bit ago about that gal who works in the mall. Her mom was going to the mall to pick up her sister, and she heard that pow, 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 and then she turned toward where the Santa Claus was with a lot of kids just waiting in line, and she saw something else.